Alright, what's up everyone? And welcome back to Zero Evidence. Listen, I need you to picture this. It's November 24th, 2009. A 26-year-old dude named John Jones is back home in Utah for the Thanksgiving holiday. He's stoked to see his family, and they all get together and try to figure out something epic to do. Instead of just chilling at home, John, being an adventurous guy, gets this idea. He wants to go explore a nearby cave system. He makes a plan to go spelunking in a cave with a weird name, the Nutty Putty Cave. But what happened next? Man, what happened to John inside that cave is still considered one of the most terrifying and tragic caving accidents in modern history. And I gotta give you a heads up right now, a serious warning. This is claustrophobic content for real. After hearing this story, you might develop a phobia of tight spaces yourself. So if you can't handle that kind of stuff, this is your chance to click away. No hard feelings for everyone else, let's get into it. Okay, so the Nutty Putty Cave. This place was first discovered back in 1960, and right away people knew it was something else. The main entrance, the only way in, is just 30 inches wide. That's like 2.5 feet. You literally have to crawl on your belly to get inside. Once word got out, visitors from all over America started flocking to this place to explore it. It got super popular. But here's the thing, this cave was dangerous. So many accidents happened inside that the government had to shut it down multiple times, but every time they did, people would freak out. They'd demand it be reopened. Let us in, we want to explore. It was this weird obsession. The thing about Nutty Putty is the deeper you go, the tighter and more twisted it gets. It's a maze of tiny passages, total darkness, and even pools of water. Some spots are so narrow that a grown adult, forget it, even a small kid couldn't get through. They're basically human-sized traps, and for some reason, people loved the thrill. They had no fear of getting stuck. By 2006, the government had banned it again for good, but local caving groups and tourists started a whole movement against it. They were like, you can't just ban a natural wonder. Everyone has a right to be here. The government shot back, saying, look, this place is a ticking time bomb just waiting to trap someone for good. But the explorers were relentless. They said, we don't care, we're serious cavers. Let us go in at our own risk. We'll handle our own safety. It's not on you. All this pressure forced the government to rethink. They asked the public again, are you guys sure you want us to reopen this deadly cave where people constantly get trapped? The response was a flood of emails. I remember reading about one from a local guy who said, me and my 2 kids love this cave. We know every single path by heart. The ban is ruining our family fun time. Despite all this, in October 2007, the government put up a permanent fence. They basically said, anyone who tries to get in, we're coming for you. But the pressure didn't stop. Finally, in March 2009, the government caved, no pun intended. They proposed a deal. Okay, we'll reopen the cave, but with new, strict rules. The main rule was that any group going in had to have at least 2 members with proven, certified caving experience. And you had to get a permit 21 days in advance, which expired after 1 day. You had to get in, explore, and get out, all in 24 hours. People were thrilled. They figured, no problem, we can find 2 experienced guys to take with us. And that's where our story really begins. We've got 26-year-old John Jones and his 23-year-old brother Josh. John was a medical student and was home in Utah for Thanksgiving to see his wife Emily and their young daughter. Since he was on a break, the whole family and a bunch of friends, 11 people total, made a plan. Let's go explore the newly reopened Nutty Putty Cave. John and Josh were pumped. They were the experienced guys for their group. They'd explored a bunch of smaller caves before, so they got the green light from the cave management. Around 7:00 p.m. on that night, November 24th, the whole crew gathered at John and Josh's house. It was about an hour's drive to the cave. By 8:00 p.m. they were there, ready to go. They had their headlamps, ropes, extra clothes. They were fully prepped to conquer this thing. Around 8:30 p.m., one by one, the group squeezed through that tiny 30-inch hole and entered the cave. The first hour was a blast. The initial parts of the cave were wide enough to move around in. The whole group of 11 eventually made it to a large chamber called the Big Slide, a spot big enough for everyone to stand up and regroup. They were laughing, high-fiving, challenging each other. This is where the friendly rivalry between the brothers kicked in. Josh challenged John. Let's go find the birth canal. This was a notoriously tight and difficult passage that very few explorers had ever successfully navigated. They dared each other to be the ones to finally do it. John, being the older brother, said, "All right, you're smaller, you wait here. I'll go first and scout it out. Just follow my lead." So John headed off from the big slide, crawling toward what he thought was the birth canal. So far, so good. But then, someone in the back of the group nervously mentioned, "Hey, isn't this the spot where people get stuck for hours and need to be rescued?" John, full of confidence, yelled back, "Nah, don't worry about it. I've got experience with this stuff. Just do what I say." Everyone trusted him. He sounded like he knew what he was doing. But then the problem hit. John reached a fork in the tunnel. 3 different paths split off in front of him. There were no signs, no arrows, nothing. He was stumped. Which one was the real birth canal? He was supposed to go right. In a fatal, life-altering mistake, he took a sharp turn to the left and started shimmying his way into the darkness. Almost immediately, he knew something was wrong. The passage was getting impossibly tight. So tight, he could barely push himself forward. But he saw what looked like a bigger open area just ahead. He thought, if I can just get to that spot, I can turn around and tell everyone we went the wrong way. He kept pushing. This was his biggest mistake. To get to that open spot, he had to squeeze through a vertical crack known as the lip of cave. He hoped he could just pop through it, drop down and turn around, but it didn't happen like that. As he entered the lip of cave, he got wedged, and then he slipped. He fell headfirst, straight down into a crevice that was about 10 inches wide and 18 inches high. Think about that. It's basically the size of a washing machine dryer opening. And he was a full-grown, 6-foot-tall, 200-pound man. He was now stuck upside down in a space smaller than a mail slot. His arms were pinned behind him. His head was pointing straight down into a dead end. He was completely, utterly trapped. He started shouting for his brother. "Josh! Josh! I'm in trouble! I'm stuck!" Josh, who was following behind, thought he was just joking around, trying to scare them for a good story later. But when Josh crawled up to the lip of cave, he froze. He couldn't even fit his own head into the opening. He had no idea how John had even gotten in there. "John, did you get past this thing?" he yelled. John's muffled voice came back. "Yeah, I made it through, and now I'm stuck. I'm pointing straight down. I can't turn. I can't move my hands. You gotta pull me out." But how? No one else in the group was thin enough to get through that crack to help him. In that moment, everyone knew. John was in serious, serious trouble. If they didn't get him out and fast, something terrible was going to happen. Josh made a quick decision. He sent another friend to stay near the opening and keep talking to John, to keep him calm. John was already starting to panic. Meanwhile, Josh scrambled his way back out of the cave as fast as he could and sprinted to the management office to call for an emergency rescue. It would take 3 hours for the first rescue crew to arrive. By 12:30 a.m., a local volunteer rescue team was on site, led by a woman named Susie, who was a total pro at this stuff. Susie said, "Okay, I'm going in first to see what we're dealing with." She navigated the entire cave system and finally reached the lip of cave. She managed to reach down and touch John's feet to see if he was still alive. As soon as she touched him, his legs moved. He was alive. "John, my name is Susie. I'm here to help you. My team is right behind me," she yelled. John's voice came back, full of relief. "Thank you, Susie. Please, I just want to get out of here." "No problem," she said, trying to sound calm. "It's easy. We'll have you out of here in no time." Hearing this, John relaxed a little, thinking everything would be okay. Meanwhile, outside, the news had spread. John's wife, Emily, had gotten the call and rushed to the cave with their baby daughter. By now, a whole media circus was forming. Over 30 emergency vehicles were on the scene. Susie's first idea was to try and get a rope around his legs. But the problem was, she couldn't even fit into the space to reach him properly. After struggling for 2 hours, she had to give up on that idea. It just wasn't happening. She came back out of the cave, totally frustrated. The rescue team on the surface was throwing out all sorts of dumb ideas. One guy seriously suggested they douse the walls with oil to make it slippery. Susie was like, "Are you kidding me? You guys have no idea what the situation is like down there." Then, someone had a real idea. Ropes and pulleys. The plan was to drill holes into the rock around John, anchor a complex pulley system, attach the ropes to him, and use mechanical advantage to pull him out. It was a solid plan. Susie agreed. But now they had a new problem. The drill they had wasn't strong enough. They needed diamond-tipped drills to cut through that hard rock. Precious time was wasted just getting the right equipment. Finally, they started drilling, but it was painfully slow. Only one person could fit in the tiny space to work at a time. It was exhausting, one man at a time work. And then the situation got 100 times more urgent. A cardiologist on the rescue team pulled Susie aside. He asked her, "What position is John in exactly?" Susie explained he was upside down, angled head down. The doctor's face went pale. He told her something chilling. In that position, a human body can't survive for more than 10 to 12 hours. His heart is having to work against gravity to pump blood out of his brain and up to his legs. All the blood is pooling in his head and chest. His lungs will start to fill with fluid. We have to get him out now. It had already been hours. The clock was ticking. The team worked with frantic speed. They finally got the pulley system rigged. Susie went back down to John. She could now hear a horrible gurgling sound with every breath he took. His lungs were already filling up. They managed to get a rope down to him. John, still conscious, managed to help wrap it around his legs. The team on the other end of the pulley started to pull, and it worked. John started to move upwards. He was almost free. The rescuers at the entrance could see his face for the first time. It was completely red. His eyes were bloodshot. He was in agony. "It hurts so bad," he whispered. "Please get me out." And then, disaster. With a sickening crack, one of the main anchor bolts ripped out of the cave wall. The rope went slack and John slid all the way back down, slamming hard into the bottom of the crevice he was just pulled from. All that progress, gone. They had to start over. 19 hours had now passed. By all medical logic, he should have been dead. But incredibly, John was still alive. He was still talking. They rigged the system again. They pulled again. John came up again, his face appearing in the opening. Hope surged through the rescue team. And then it happened again. This time, 2 bolts tore loose, and a huge chunk of the cave wall broke off with them. The rock smashed directly into the lead rescuer's face, knocking him out cold. The rescue mission screeched to a halt. Now they had to rescue their own rescuer. While they pulled the injured rescuer out, they managed to get a 2-way radio down to John, so he could talk to his wife, Emily. When he heard her voice, he seemed to relax. She tried to keep his spirits up, telling him, "They're not giving up on you, honey. They have more plans." But John knew. In a voice weak with exhaustion and pain, he said his goodbyes. "I love you so much," he told her. "Take care of our baby girl. I don't think I'm going to make it out of here." Hearing that, Emily broke down. Just a few minutes later, the rescuers behind John, making one last-ditch effort, realized he had gone completely silent. He was unresponsive. While on the radio with his wife, John had gone into cardiac arrest. At 11:50 p.m., nearly 28 hours after he first got stuck, a paramedic was sent down to make the official call. He confirmed what everyone feared. John Jones was gone. The rescue mission was now a recovery mission. But after analyzing the situation, the teams concluded that it was simply too dangerous to try and retrieve John's body. They couldn't get a living person out. Getting his body out would be even riskier for the rescuers. The government made a heartbreaking decision. On November 26, 2009, they decided to seal the Nutty Putty Cave forever. They brought in concrete trucks and poured tons of it into the entrance, sealing it shut. The cave became John's final resting place. His family, in an incredible act of love and acceptance, agreed with the decision. They placed a memorial plaque on the sealed entrance. It reads, "In memory of John, a beloved husband, father, son, and brother. We love you." John's body is still in there today, in that impossibly tight space inside the lip of cave. It's just a tragic, heartbreaking story. It's a reminder that no matter how experienced you are, you should never ever underestimate the risks. One small mistake can change everything. Man, that one's heavy. I know for some of you, your head is probably spinning, and maybe that fear of tight spaces is hitting you hard. Just remember, it's a true story, but take it as a lesson. Be safe out there. I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.